KREM 2 News 10 at 10 begins now with Mark Hanrahan and Jeremy Legoo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. We start tonight with a live look at downtown Spokane. Rain is expected to move in through the area at any time now, so let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for all the details. And Jeremy, what can you tell us about this rain?
Well, when it comes, it's not going to be much, unfortunately. It's starting to look like we'll get a few hundredths of an inch of rain, but believe it or not, that is still enough to wet the roads and wet your lawn and leave behind a little bit of moisture. Right now, we still sit in the 60s with the dew point up near 50. When those numbers get closer and closer together, we have more moisture in the atmosphere, and that is happening as we speak as that low tracks closer. Right now, we are seeing that down to the south, and that's bringing some widespread rain to parts of the southern panhandle. That little round of light showers that moved through, still moving off to the north with the initial wave, but here's how I think it works out. Overnight, we're going to wind up seeing some of that moisture move in. I think we wake up to a light rain here in eastern Washington and a few stray thunderstorms across the region. What is more likely is that as we move into the middle of the day and all of this lifts off to the north, it taps into the heat of the sun and we see a few more rumbles of thunder. It all moves out and the sunshine returns. Tomorrow, with sun in the afternoon, we climb up to 81 degrees, 90 on Saturday, and we stay hot on Sunday.
All right, sounds good. Jeremy, we'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. Well, some dramatic video coming out from last month's Gwen fire showing the moments a farmer was trying to protect his property from a wall of smoke and flames. The Gwen fire burned nearly 30,000 acres, destroyed 38 homes and 122 buildings. This comes as Idaho Governor Brad Little traveled to Nez Perce County today to see what remains. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley was there for the governor's visit.
Idaho Governor Brad Little got a bird's eye view of the Gwen and Texas wildfires here in Nez Perce County. After the tour, he landed right here in a Black Hawk and addressed the community.
Okay, here's my 1 o'clock update.
All eyes have been on the Gwen and Texas fires, including the eyes of local farmers like Robert Blair.
Fire is our biggest fear.
That's why when the Gwen fire reached the property across from his, Robert jumped into action.
There's a rig down on the point. You can see him there.
He put his eyes to work, keeping watch of the fire's movement.
I was keeping those that needed to know informed about its progress.
On his watch, Robert saw his fellow farmers do what they could on their property to bring the fire to a halt. The first thought that came to mind?
We need air resources ASAP.
And he watched when those professional resources came. Then Idaho Governor Brad Little came and toured the wildfires from above. He thanked all the agencies for their quick action.
It is incredibly important to us that we save first life, then property.
Even noting the work of the farmers he saw firsthand from a bird's eye view.
I was struck flying over about the miles and miles and miles and miles of fire line that have been put on by the local local farmers. Had they not done that, this fire would have been enormously larger.
Idaho Department of Land says the Gwen fire burned nearly 29,000 acres, destroying 38 primary residents. That's 25 houses and 13 RVs. The Texas fire burned more than 1,500 acres and claimed 4 homes. The eyes that watch these fires see now the impact of their work.
We are very fortunate no lives were lost. Very thankful to the limited damage, while extensive, the limited damage that was done. It could have been a lot worse.
In Nez Perce County, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. A Spokane woman has been reunited with her tiny home after it was stolen from a storage facility on Monday. One day after our story aired, Spokane police found the home in Spangle covered in plywood. The homeowner tells KREM 2 it seemed like whoever took it was living in it. The theft was all caught on camera earlier this week. This surveillance video shows someone driving off with that tiny home. Spokane police say the thief broke into a storage facility on East Francis, hitched up to the home's trailer, and then drove off. Prohibition Gastropub announcing this week it is closing its doors. The owner says the reason behind that decision is the lack of business following the loss of a parking lot across the street, which changed businesses' hands. Over the years, Prohibition has raised money to help local charities and those with food insecurities. We spoke with the executive chef and owner of the pub today. He says while this chapter of his life might be closing, he will continue to find ways to help the community.
But the tool that we all have in our tool belt is love. And I don't feel like there's any lack of that in this world. Our ability to use that as a tool to move forward in this space. The one thing that's really important there is that this restaurant takes up a tremendous amount of time and energy. So as my time commitments and energy commitments lessen, it actually frees me up to do more things in that department.
On top of the parking issue, the pub also says that it faced other challenges like inflation on equipment, food, and labor. Prohibition's last day is August 31st. Well, the first case of chronic wasting disease has been confirmed in North Idaho. According to the Idaho Department of Fish and Game, a white-tailed deer was found near Bonners Ferry with the disease last month. Fish and Game says they're working on a plan to track the potential spread of the disease in North Idaho. And it comes just 2 weeks after chronic wasting disease was found in Spokane County, up in the Fairwood area. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. Tonight, an unsealed indictment now reveals the third person charged in the international kidnapping of a Pullman toddler. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy has all the new developments tonight.
We have now confirmed Nadia Cole, the fiance of Aaron Ong, is the third person facing charges in this case. She was indicted along with Ong and his father James on August 7th. Federal records show Cole's attorney appeared in court Wednesday, allowing this indictment to be fully unsealed. The case started back in May after Cole disappeared from Seattle's airport instead of boarding a flight with her family. Security video captured her walking toward the light rail. Days later, Pullman police linked Cole's disappearance to Aaron Ong and his daughter, who were also missing after he failed to return the girl to her mother. Investigators called it more than coincidence. Cole vanished at the same time. The federal charging document shows Ong picked up Cole at a pre-designated location in Tacoma, then they crossed the Mexican border. Cole and Ong stayed in Mexico with his daughter for around a month until early July. All three were contacted by Mexican officials July 4th. Only Cole was deported at that time. Ong and his daughter were in the country 3 more days before his arrest. We've also learned tonight Cole is not in custody. She's been served a summons and is expected to be in Eastern Washington's federal court September 6th. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
5 people have been arrested for the ketamine overdose of actor Matthew Perry, including 2 doctors, a live-in assistant, and a woman authorities identify as a major drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen. Perry was found dead in his hot tub last October. Authorities say the suspects conspired to falsely prescribe, sell, and inject Perry with large amounts of ketamine after he relapsed into drug addiction last fall. The U.S. attorney says they sold large amounts of ketamine to Perry for large sums of money after he sought legitimate treatment for anxiety and depression.
These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing was risking great danger to Mr. Perry, but they did it anyways. In the end, these defendants were more interested in profiting off Mr. Perry than caring for his well-being.
If convicted, some of the suspects face up to life in prison. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.